Hey guys, it's Riv, and welcome back to another video. So real quick, I want to say that I think I'm going to go back to just making one video a week, because 2 a week is a lot of work, but yeah, I just don't want to disappoint anyone or myself if I can't do it. But anyway, I actually did complete Inktober for once this year, so that's pretty exciting. I made mine so I was drawing a famous cryptid for each day, and yeah, it was really cool. So first off, I did make a video about the materials I wanted to use, so I'll put a link up top, but real quick, I used a Moleskine art plus sketchbook, my little stick of graphite, my eraser, my Pentel Pocket brush pen, my Uniball Signo white gel pen, and these two Artist Loft alcohol-based markers in Cool Gray C7 and C5. Anyway, I also used my favorite tapered paintbrush when I did some ink washes with the Dr. P.F. Martin's Black Star India ink. I'll try to tell you guys a little bit about the cryptids themselves and some of my thoughts about how I drew them and stuff. So the first day was the Loch Ness Monster, which is probably one of the most famous cryptids. Also known as Nessie, she is an aquatic creature that people have claimed to have seen in the Loch Ness Lake of Scotland. There's been lots of sightings over the century, but there's also been a lot of hoaxes and fake photographs of the monster. I guess I can't really say she exists, or that any of these cryptids exist, because of the lack of actual evidence, but still, it's fun to consider that there may be an actual monster out there. Oh, and real quick, I did this with ink washes, but it did buckle the paper a little bit, so I had to be careful about that. Next up is Mothman, who was spotted in 1966 by a couple in Point Pleasant, North Virginia. This was when I wanted to use markers, so I used a cheap gray Sharpie, but the tip wasn't very flexible or fine, so it was kind of hard to control. On the right is the Chupacabra, which is a legendary monster originally sighted in Puerto Rico, but there have also been sightings throughout North and South America. Its name literally means goat sucker because of how it drained the blood out of goats and sheep and other livestock. So next is the Holopin, hopefully I'm saying that right, which was spotted in Chile's lakes and rivers. It has the head of a calf, the body of a sheep, short twisted front legs, and the tail of a seal. Apparently it can mate with cows and sheep, which results in disfigured offspring, so yeah, that's pretty weird. I did the same watery ink technique for this one because I thought it was more fitting for the aquatic cryptids. Then I drew the elephant killer. I know I'd mispronounce the actual name, but yeah, this cryptid has been sighted in the Congo, and it's said to be very aggressive. It reportedly has a similar body to that of a rhinoceros, with a single long horn on its snout. It also seems to resemble some sort of dinosaur, but it's also thought to be an aquatic species of rhinoceros, which hunts elephants. And this is where I finally got my alcohol markers, so I started having a lot of fun with those. El Cuero is another lake monster that's been reported in South America. It resembles some sort of stingray and apparently has claws on the fringes of its body. I also read that it learned to take weapons from its previous prey and use them for its own hunting, so I thought it was kind of funny, so I tried to work with that. I honestly don't really like this piece at all though, so I covered up the bottom half, because I tried to paint these underwater plants and stuff, but it was really ugly, but yeah. I just kept trying to layer the ink, but I couldn't really do that with this type of paper since it's not very absorbent. And yeah, I realized that if I wanted to do ink washes, then it was best to keep them very light. So moving on is the beast of Gévaudan, hopefully I'm saying that right, which is now thought to have been some sort of dog or wolf hybrid, or even a lion. It attacked approximately 210 people, mostly women and children, in southern France during the 18th century. The beast is described as being large and wolf-like, with small straight ears, a large head, and a tough tail. I sort of tried to do a mix between a wolf and a lion for this drawing, but yeah, I actually really like how it turned out. I then drew a doggator, which is a river cryptid. I didn't like my first drawing because it was hard to tell what was what, so I decided to redraw him here. He's a good sweet boy, but he would probably be pretty fearsome if he were actually real. On day 9, I drew the Jersey Devil, which most of you guys have probably heard of too. This cryptid, which reportedly inhabits the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey, has a kangaroo-like body, a goat-like head, leathery wings, small clawed arms, and cloven hooves. The reports of the monster range from the 1700s to the 1900s, and it's said that it also emits a blood-curdling scream. I think I also did a pretty good job with this one. I mean, I like the composition and how his body turned out. The next day was the Canvey Island monster. The carcass of this creature was first found on the shores of Canvey Island in England of November of 1953, and then a second carcass was also found the following year. This cryptid, which some have speculated to be a type of anglerfish, was said to have red or brownish skin, bulging eyes, gills, and legs with toes. And then there's also the Altamahaha river monster. Hopefully I'm saying that right, guys. Sorry if I'm not. But yeah, this cryptid is said to inhabit the streams and abandoned rice fields near the mouth of the Altamaha River in my home state, Georgia. Next up is the ahul, which is said to inhabit the deep jungles of Indonesia. It's described as a giant bat, but others also claim that it's actually a flying primate. I find it's always sort of tough to draw wings and stuff in sketchbooks, unless you draw the body like super small. And then right below it, I drew a tatzelworm. It's a creature that's been spotted in several areas throughout Europe, and it's described as a long snake-like feline without any back legs. It's also believed to be extremely venomous, and one bite could kill a man almost instantly. So yeah, you gotta be careful when dealing with these guys. Okay, so this one is really cute. I drew the cryptid called the tea kettler. It's from American folklore, specifically from the lumberjack camps of Minnesota and Wisconsin. And the tea kettler is said to resemble a small dog with big cat-like ears. It walks backwards with steam coming from its mouth, while it emits the sound of water boiling on a kettle. The next cryptid isn't so cute maybe, although, I mean, to me they're all cute honestly. But yeah, the water hound is from Irish folklore, and it's said to resemble both an otter and a dog. And it reportedly is a huge bloodthirsty beast, so he's a little bit scary, but still kinda cute in my book. This next cryptid is also pretty well known, and it's the Dover demon. It was sighted in the town of Dover, Massachusetts on April 21st and 22nd of 1977. A few different teenagers had spotted him and drew sketches of him, and described him as a creature with tendril-like fingers and large glowing eyes. I then drew a dingbat, which is another cryptid that originates from the tales of the North American lumberjacks. It's described as having antlers, large wings, a feathered body, and the weird ability to swallow bullets in midair. So when I recorded this, I didn't realize that I had gotten the order of these two mixed up, so I'll talk about day 19 first and then day 18. Day 19 features the Yukon beaver eater. This is a pretty obscure cryptid, and it's reportedly even bigger than even the biggest grizzly bear. It apparently can flip beaver lodges upside down, and then it eats the poor little beavers. On day 18, I drew the Riverside Bridge monster. This guy was spotted on November 8th of 1958 by Charles Wetzel. He first encountered the creature while driving home, and he described it as having a round, earless head, long arms, shining eyes, and a protruding mouth. And as you can see, on day 20, I drew the infamous Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot. This big boy originates from American folklore, and is said to primarily inhabit the woods and forests of the Pacific Northwest. It's described as being very big, hairy, and muscular, and there have been large footprints discovered that are supposedly from this creature. So next up is the bunyip, which is a large creature from Australian Aboriginal mythology. It's said to inhabit lakes, rivers, swamps, and other bodies of water. The creature has a dog-like head, a body covered in fur, flippers, and a horse's tail. The next cryptid is the sheep squash, which is also known as the white thing. Most of its sighting occurred in the mid-1990s in several areas throughout West Virginia. It is allegedly the size of a bear, covered in white woolly fur, has a head like a dog, and saber-like teeth. Below the sheep squash, I drew a capelobo, which is a vampiric cryptid from Brazilian mythology. It doesn't actively hunt humans, but it's still really vicious and will kill them if they manage to catch one. The next cryptid I have to show is the hodag. It originates mainly from the city of Rylander in northern Wisconsin. It was said to have a frog-like head, a grinning face, short, thick legs and claws, the back of a dinosaur, and a long tail. And then we have the Wendigo, which is a mythical cannibalistic creature or evil spirit native to the forests of the Atlantic coast and the Great Lake regions. It is historically associated with cannibalism, as I mentioned, murder, and greed. This creature is part of the traditional belief system of many of the Algonquin speaking people. Hopefully I said that right. The basic shared view of the Wendigo is that it's an evil supernatural being. On this page I drew a brownie, and I actually really like how he turned out. He's like a cute little grandpa fairy. But yeah, they are from Scottish folklore, and they're described as tiny benevolent fairies that will live in a person's home if they want to. Right next to the brownie is the SKETCHBOOK, which I'm not sure if I'm saying right. Their sightings stopped after World War II, but they were thought to be wild women of Croatia, which were covered in reddish or black hair, and they had an elf-like face and long strong arms. The next cryptid I have is a lizard man, which actually refers to various lizard-like hominids that have been sighted over the years. The Beast of Bray Road was a specific creature which was sighted in 1936 in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. It was described as a huge hairy bear or wolf-like creature that was intelligent and could walk upright on its back legs. It has commonly been labeled as a werewolf, although there are no actual accounts of the creature transforming. So then, on the very last page of my Inktobers, I had drawn the ugly little merman from Iceland. And last but not least, I drew the Nightcrawler cryptid, which is also known as the Fresno alien. It's only been spotted twice, once in Fresno, California, and once again in Yosemite National Park. Okay, so those were all of my Inktobers. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and hearing me talk about them. And I'll be talking to you guys again hopefully soon. Okay, until next time. Bye.